Hello. My name is Jessie, and today we are making a meatless dish called Vegetable Delight. It is full of protein and flavors. For the stir-fry sauce, you would need half a tablespoon of chicken powder, 2 teaspoons of everything but the bagel seasoning, 2 teaspoons of sesame oil, and half a cup of chicken broth. For the ingredients, you would need 2 cups of chopped Napa cabbage, 8 ounces of firm tofu, 1 cup of blanched cauliflower florets, 1 cup of blanched broccoli florets, 1 cup of chopped kales, half a cup of shredded carrots, a handful of shiitake mushrooms, 1 small red onion, a bag or 7 ounces of Shirataki noodles. This is optional. And some cilantro for garnish. So this dish is completely meatless. There's no meat, but we would have a lot of protein and fiber because of all the vegetable and the tofu. This is a whole block of 16 ounces of tofu. We actually only need half of it, but I'm gonna go ahead and process the whole thing and only use half for today and save the other half for another meal. In order to make this simple dish tasty and more flavorful, we just need to add a lot of texture, and therefore I would be frying these tofu. First, I'm gonna dab it very dry. We would be using our air fryer today to fry the tofu. You can buy those fried tofu too, but I usually don't like those because we don't know what oil they use to fry and stuff. I want to choose my own oil. Alright, so now that it's dry, I'm going to use the knife to cut it in half like this through it. Alright, so now we're going to cut this in fours. Now you have these little cubes of tofu. And I'm just going to spread them out on my cutting board to season it a little bit. Because this dish, with the very simple ingredients, we just have to amp it up every step of the way. With a teaspoon of salt, I would just sprinkle it on my tofu just to get some flavor to it. I'm treating my tofu like meat, and this is the marinating part. Like if you were to cook a piece of meat, you would marinate it, right? Same thing goes with tofu. And this would make the taste so much better. Now to help it get some crispiness, I'm gonna add some oil onto this, just like how you would fry tofu, but this is air fry, so it's not as much. So that's about 1 tablespoon of oil. I'm just waiting for the air fryer to preheat. We'll put it in the air fryer, and while the air fryer is working, we're gonna work on our stir fry. I have it set at 400 degrees for 10 minutes. Alright, now that it's preheated, I'm gonna add my tofu into the basket, single layer. Like I said earlier, we don't need to use all of these tofu in today's dish, but since I am frying it, I may as well make the best use of my air fryer and fry them all and have them as snacks. These makes really good snacks or toppings for a salad or anything. All right, now that it's all loaded, I'm gonna put it in and 400 degrees for 10 minutes. Alright, so now that the tofu is in the air fryer, we are going to prep our very little ingredients. Today, most of the ingredients was already prepped. The only thing I have to cut is the onion. I'm just going to use the same cutting board because they all go to the same dish. And there's no meat on this. Alright, so for the red onion, I'm just going to cut it in wedges. The reason why I'm cutting in wedges because when you stir fry, it would easier to fall out instead of just have a whole big chunk of it. Most of my vegetable today is already prepped. A lot of times that's what I do when I first get my groceries home. I try to prep as much as possible with the time that I had, so it would help speed up the cooking time when I need to cook. I usually don't pre-chop onion a lot just because sometimes if I don't close it tight enough, it will stink up the whole fridge. And the tiny little bit of the cilantro that we need to chop roughly just for the garnish at the end. All right, and this is completely optional. If you don't like cilantro, you can skip it. All right, all the vegetables are already prepped, but I just want to show you guys the size that we did. I combined both the broccoli and the cauliflower in one container because we're running out of space. So these are the broccoli that we got from our CSA box, and when we received it, I pretty much just blanched them and cut them into bite sizes and have them ready in the refrigerator. I would have a whole video of how I prep my fridge for easier cooking. Link up here and below for you guys if you are interested in checking it out. Another one is the Napa cabbage. Kale, same thing. Carrot, I left the skin on, so if you guys see some brownish, that's the skin. It's organic, so it's okay. And this week, the CSA had some beautiful mushrooms. They're so good. I'm so excited that we had it, and I already used half of it, and this is the last bit of it. And this one is totally optional. I usually would use glass noodles in the dish, but I got this gluten-free plant-based noodles, and I wanted to try it out because the texture is a bit springy. It's the one that we usually would have it at a Japanese shabu-shabu. So when I saw it at the grocery store, I got excited and I want to try it out today. But if you don't have this, just use glass noodle or omit it if you don't want carbs in this. All right, so that's all the vegetable that we have. Now that I show you guys the noodles, let me strain it really quick. So according to the package, we just strain it, rinse it, and it's ready to go. All right, so all the ingredients are ready, and usually for stir frying, we have to have everything ready because once we start the stir frying process, it happens so quickly. We're gonna do the stir fry sauce. So in half a cup of chicken broth, I will be adding 2 teaspoons of everything but the bagel seasoning. And if you know me by now, I use this a lot for almost like a all-purpose seasoning because it has garlic, onion, salt, and everything. So 2 teaspoons. And to amp the flavor up, I'm gonna use half a tablespoon of chicken powder. And we're gonna stir it up, and our sauce is ready. All right, so I just checked our tofu. It's not crispy yet. I'm gonna do another 10 minutes. And it really depends on what kind of air fryer you have. I would just usually start with 10 minutes first, look at it, and just adjust the time as needed. All right, so we have everything ready. Now we're gonna start cooking. We're gonna have our wok on high heat, and we're adding 1 tablespoon of oil. I'm gonna test the oil to make sure it's hot by putting a little bit of cabbage in. Okay, you see the seasoning? That means the oil is hot enough. Now I'm just gonna add all of the Napa cabbage in first. Then the kale. I'm having the stove on at high heat so it will stir fry the vegetable and not steaming it. Okay, after about 10 seconds, when you see the cabbage about to wilt down, I'm gonna add in our next ingredients, which is the broccoli and the cauliflower. We're looking for some color like this because we want that charred taste instead of just steamed vegetable. All right, now carrot. Lastly, I'm gonna put the onion in. I put the onion in after all the vegetables just because I like the onion to still have a little crunch left once we're done. I just want to take the raw edges out of the onion, but I still want the crunchiness. You've noticed I have not put the mushrooms in yet because the mushroom would soak in a lot of water, and I'm going to use it after I put the sauce in so that the mushroom would not be bitter. Now everything looks good at the texture that we like. I'm going to add in the stir frying sauce that we made earlier with the chicken broth and all the seasoning. When I add the sauce, I'm going to add it around the rim. Now in the mushrooms. Ooh. I wish you guys can smell it. Vegetable never smells so good and flavorful. Calvin usually doesn't even want to try any vegetarian or meatless dish, but he loves this dish because it's so flavorful. And once in a while, like once a week, I try to make a dish with a lot of vegetable, you know, because we're trying to do our part of being healthy. Move everything on the side and make a well. We're going to put noodles in it. And if you have glass noodle, you soak it first and you put it in here. This one, I strain it and I just add it in here. And it will soak in all of those juice. Oh, so good. All right, let me give it a taste to make sure the season is good. Oh, so good. You can taste all the vegetable. It tastes so clean. Like you're eating something so healthy, but yet it's so flavorful. Our tofu is done. Wow, look at that. So we will be adding only half of it in. The other half is mine to snack on. Can you guys see the crispiness, the edges? Alright, so I'm going to add half of it in here. You know what? I'm going to save a little bit for topping later because, you know, we're going to dish it up. Alright, so it's all done. We're going to turn off the heat. Mix it one last time and it's ready. Wow, look at that. So colorful. And remember the sesame oil, you put it on last because if you put the sesame in too early, the flavor isn't there. So I'll put about 1 teaspoon of sesame oil. And when you eat and mix it all up, oh, it would be so good. Wow, look at this, guys. Doesn't it look gorgeous? Now it's your turn to make some at home.
Okay guys, if you like this video, hit that subscribe button and come back next week for our weekly updates. See you then!